Hey, what's up guys? This is Tyson here at IW Hockey, and today we're going to be going over how a hockey shoulder pad should properly fit. So we're going to go over how you select that right size, and then we're also going to show you what a properly fitting shoulder pad looks like and how you might be able to determine that. All right, so the first step in selecting the right size is you can either look at a generic sizing guideline, or most manufacturers we have on the site, there's actually brand specific sizing guidelines. So it's usually always best to go off the brand specific one, but it's always nice to kind of reference the other. So me, for example, the two kind of measurements that you're going to use to do it is going to be your overall height as well as your chest circumference. So to do the chest circumference, what you do is you just want to line up the tape measure right across the center of the chest right here, and then you're going to go underneath the arms and wrap it around to the back side and see how many inches it's going to be. So when I did this for myself, I came out to being right around kind of the 39, 40 inch mark, and I'm 5'11". So in looking at the Bauer sizing guideline, you can see here there's a little bit of an overlap between the different sizes, but since I'm 5'11", and I'm, like I said, around kind of the 40 inch mark, you can see here with Bauer I'd want to go with a medium shoulder pad. So now if we compare a generic shoulder pad sizing, we can see here where I wouldn't quite as easily be one or the other necessarily. So technically on this one, if you look at it, it'd kind of say that I'd be more in the large range, but it's going to be a little bit of a personal preference whether you'd rather be a little bit on the larger side or a little bit on the medium or on the smaller side. But since the Bauer one, I was pretty squarely in the medium section, I can feel pretty confident that that's going to be the right shoulder pad for me. So now we've selected the correct size to go with. We're going to show you here what a properly fitting shoulder pad will look like. So here we have on our mannequin a medium, which is about the same dimensions as myself. So what you'll see here is the one thing you want to notice first off is that the shoulder caps are really squarely above the top of the shoulder, that it's not going to be too low on it or it's not going to be too up on the player. If it's too far up, it might be a sign that it's going to be a little too small, and if it's hanging down, it's going to be more on the outside and you're not going to get as much protection where you need it. As far as the bicep guard goes, some shoulder pads, some of the higher end ones are going to have adjustable lengths like this one right here. So if you can see in there where that elastic is with the Velcro, you can actually determine how far down it hangs or how far up. That's going to be more specific to go with what kind of elbow pads you have to make sure you don't have any gaps in protection. And then as far as on the front, you can see here it covers the majority of the chest. Some will have removable belly guards, which actually this one kind of got tucked up there. But you can see how that kind of goes down. The pants would probably come up to right about here, so there's not too big of a gap in that region. The removable belly guard is a personal preference, so you can just remove this away. So there'd be a little bit more of a gap between the pants and that. But the core is that your sternum's going to be completely covered here, giving you the right amount of protection. And then also if we turn around and look at the back side, you can see here that the spine is completely covered and protected, and then where the spine guard and the pants are going to come up to is going to make it so you don't have any gaps in your spine protection. All right, so now that we saw what a properly fitting pad looks like, we're going to go ahead and show you what a pad that's going to be a little bit too big looks like. So it's not going to be extremely noticeable at first when you look at this, but one of the things that you want to notice is first, like I said, the shoulder caps. It's kind of hard to see where the center of the shoulder is, but the center of the shoulder is actually going to be up here a little bit. So this is kind of hanging a little bit too far on the outer part of the shoulder. So if you look on me, it would actually be kind of right about here where the center of the shoulder cap was instead of all the way up on the shoulder. So you're not going to be getting as much protection with that. Also, another thing you'll notice is here on the front of the pad, you can see here it's kind of sticking out a little bit. It's just not as, it's a little bit looser of a feel, and when you have a pad that's not as securely fit as that, is you run the risk of it moving more during the game, and also it's going to go down a little bit further on it, so you might risk interfering with some of your other pieces of equipment. Finally, we're going to take a look at a shoulder pad that's going to be just a little bit too small. So going back to the same thing, shoulder caps, you can see here, if you actually kind of look in there, the outer or the center part of the shoulder is going to be right about here, which is going to be lining up to the outer part of the shoulder cap, so you're not getting all of that protection that you need. It's a little bit too high on top. And also if you have an impact, it's going to make that push into the body a little bit more, how the pad is not specifically designed for. Also, if you look on the front portion of the chest, it's a really tight fit on here. You can see compared to the last one, it's very up against the player, and it's also very high up on the player. So one thing is it's going to be a little less comfortable because it's going to be overly binding, and you're going to feel like it's holding back your range of motion a little bit. So that was just a quick look at how to select the right size shoulder pad, and then we also showed you what a properly fitting shoulder pad looks like. If you have any questions about the fit of a shoulder pad, feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. Once again, my name is Tyson, and this is at inlineIcewarehouse.com.